I lied. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining in. We're lucky today. We've got a Louisiana basketball. Doesn't get talked about enough nationally, but it keeps producing real talent. Today we got Donald Tatum, writer for Louisiana high school hoops, prep hoops, someone who's in the gyms, on the baselines, not just the timelines. Hey, Donald, I appreciate you for being here, bringing the culture.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you having me, man.
We talked a little bit prior to this about both being from Louisiana. Um, you know, I try to explain to people, but for you, when people outside Louisiana think about the state's culture, basketball culture, what do you think they miss?
I think the kids here, they're just really tough. I mean, one thing, pretty much no matter what position you're looking for, if you can bind a kid or get a kid out of the boot, it's gonna be a tough kid. They wear their heart on their sleeves. They leave it all on the court. A lot of times, we've got teams from Texas, Alabama, even Oklahoma. Pretty much any state that touches Louisiana, they come in. And we see a lot of prep schools come in, but we touch people in Louisiana, and a lot of schools aren't used to being touched. So we are kind of old school. We don't have a shot clock. We still touch people, and coaches here like to guard 94 feet and trap. And some people want to just go play all-star games. So one thing about players from Louisiana is these kids are going to be tough.
And that's matriculated, out in conversations. I've been in and around basketball for a long time, and I see coaches trending to Louisiana to recruit. Uh, in Houston, some of the guys from Katrina, you found them relocated. But the backbone of this platform is we value toughness and two-way impact. So it sounds like we line up very similarly to what we find in Louisiana.
Yeah,
You know, uh,
absolutely.
so you're down there in the trenches, man. I know we talked about being in BR, looking at talent there. Um, across the state right now, can you give me two or three, 4 or 5 guys that college coaches need to know right now in Louisiana?
Absolutely. I'd say Kevin White out of Airline is a 6'4" kid. He could play point guard or he can play on the wing, a do it all type of player. Monte Farmer out of Washington Marion is a six
Mm-hmm.
eight wing player that can pretty much do it all. You can play him at the two, the three, or the four. Lavelle Lane out of Richwood, another long wing, really a shooting specialist, but he's a kid that could make a quick impact on the team. There's an undersized guard here in the state named Cooper Nelson. He's probably gonna, eclipse 3,000 points scoring. 5'9", 5'10" guard, but I mean the kid can literally do everything on the court. And if we go down south, um, Altrell Manning, the point guard for John Curtis. 5A, probably favorites right now to win the state championship. He's a kid, freshman year, sophomore year, he was ranked as a 4-star, but didn't stay on the EYBL circuit. Chose himself, played on the Pro 16, continued to put up
Mm-hmm.
numbers. Work on his game, has a really refined game, but you know he's another one. If I had to give five, that would be my five.
Well, man, those are 5 names we're definitely gonna put on our list to kind of keep up with. So you mentioned John Curtis. Louisiana has a history of producing big names. What are 2 or 3 programs that are still carrying that culture forward?
Recently, I would say Newman High School, a kid that's probably, going to end up being what could possibly end up being a one and done. Chris Scenic was at Newman for a few years. He transferred out his
Mhm.
senior year. Randy Livingston Jr. Is another kid that transferred out. Um, So Newman is a program. Calvary Baptist has a top 10 point guard in the nation. St. Augustine always, develops quality
Yeah.
players. John Curtis has Alltrail Manning, and they have some really good young talent over there. Uh, Archbishop Shaw is doing big things in the state. And then here up north, I would say Calvary Baptist. Wiseman has won back-to-back state championships. And then we got a little bit of talent in Reston also.
Yeah, you do. That tight end basketball player.
Yes,
uh,
sir. I got
you know,
I got the opportunity to watch him play again last night. So, we've got the big tight end basketball player, but we've also got Darren Ford that plays on the same
mhm.
team. I think he's ranked top 30 or 35 right now. The word is out. He's Karl Malone's grandson. And he's probably one of the best 15-year-olds I've ever seen play basketball. And on top of that,
Wow.
we've got a 6'5" underrated kid, Keyshawn Malcolm, a 6'5" point guard. But
Oh,
he's been
wow.
playing on the pro 16 circuit. He's a coach's kid, literally
Hmm.
has everything that a coach would be looking for. But I think all three of them are going to be playing on the EYBL circuit this summer. So don't be surprised if you hear, some more Louisiana kids getting recognition.
Well, just for the Texas folks, name recognition, Chris Teanak is now at University of Houston playing with Kingston Flemings. And
Yes, sir.
Randy Livingston's son, Randy Livingston Jr., signed with Texas State. So
Yep.
there's a couple of names here. I was actually in Randy senior senior class uh, down
Okay.
there. He was there at Newman. We were up there in Baton Rouge at Central High School. Uh,
Okay.
it was a fun time in the state. All right, man. So how do you separate a college prospect from social media hype in Louisiana right now?
Well, for me, it's fairly simple because I pretty much go see everyone, and if I
Mhm.
can't get my eyes on them, I have I have a strong enough, kind of network of coaches that
Yeah.
will get in the gym and see players. But the thing about highlights is, to me, first of all, you have to do something to have a highlight. So,
Hmm.
you've got tools like Huddle, you have tools like Max Preps, and as long as the coaches keep those platforms updated, you can go out and see actually what a player is doing in the form of production. And I would say, for me, when I evaluate players, freshman year and sophomore year, I really like to get out and see the players because the evaluation scheme is more about their potential. And then junior
Yeah.
year and senior year is all about production. So if a coach does reach out to me, I can tell them tangible things. This is a 17.6 rebound, 3 assist kid, and then start talking about the intangible stuff.
That's one thing I do like about Louisiana. There's not a huge mixtape culture. It's more of get in there and kick somebody's ass, and
Absolutely.
that's what I like about it.
Like,
So,
I'm
huh?
kind of trying to change that, and trying to encourage players to get out more. Instead of having 10 pair of sneakers, call the
Yes,
local video guy, have him come out
yeah,
to your game. Get film on the things that you do, because the way the landscape is set up right now, there's so many players, that are trying to get a spot on a roster, and if you can get
hmm,
a coach to respond to you, the first thing they're going to ask is for film. And if
yeah,
you don't have any, that opportunity may be gone.
yeah. And the counterpoint to that is you're right, film, and you're right. They need full game film. And that's what I think the missing component that guys get at. One thing we preach is make sure your highlight film is in the right order.
Yeah.
And those types of things. So, what are the misunderstandings that Louisiana families might have about recruiting today? I'm sure there'll be some of the same.
Well, the first thing is everybody believes that their player is going Division 1, and the fact
Mhm.
is that 99% of them are not going to go D1, and
Yeah,
because the landscape has shifted so much, this year right now we have 3 players in the state with Division 1 offers, and 2 of them have signed already. So
mhm.
there's a possibility that the whole state of Louisiana will only have 3 players go play Division 1 basketball, but I can say with confidence that we'll probably have between 60 and 90 kids go play junior college basketball. So,
Yeah,
there's things that parents can do, and I think I said this on another platform. People always used to say the best ability is availability, but the theme now has to be the best ability is visibility. So
yeah,
as much film as you can get on your player, you need to make sure that you have it. You need to make sure that understand how to format it. So if you do send it to a coach, that they can see the
mhm.
things that they need to see to evaluate your player to see if they'll be a fit for their organization. And kind of back to what you were saying, there's a difference between a highlight tape and a mixtape. A highlight tape
Mhm.
is there to highlight the things that you do well, and a mixtape is, that's a hype tape. And there's a place for that, I feel like, in the recruitment process nowadays, because even players that are not going Division 1, some of these mixtapes can show a business or someone else on the staff a part of your personality, and that may make you marketable for NIL opportunities.
That's something that I haven't spoken on, but you're dead on with that. Uh, you're dead on with that. So, with the coaching changes that are about to happen, does that affect Louisiana as much since we have such a high population going to junior college? And I was a junior college guy, so I love the JUCO route.
Yeah.
But just curious, is that going to affect the state as much?
I don't think so. Pretty much here in Louisiana, when you look at the programs that endure, and some of the programs that I mentioned, I'm sure you're familiar with those programs. Those programs have the
Mhm.
same coaches.
Yeah,
Louisiana doesn't run down the win now. They don't participate really in the win now culture, and get rid of coaches just because they don't win in the first couple of years.
right,
And
right,
with
right.
Louisiana really kind of transitioning to being a football sport,
Hmm.
the majority of our best players are also football players. You mentioned Ahmad Hudson and Rustin, but we've also
Hmm.
got Elijah Haven, who's a top 5 player in the state, but the
Yeah,
number 1 ranked quarterback in the nation.
yeah. Well,
And go ahead.
you talking about tight end. I speak on Trudez Green. Very similarly.
Fredez Green,
Uh,
he's another one.
yeah, and who's that big old lineman man that played? Oh man, Beaumont United. My mind's going blank, but LSU football has a offensive tackle uh, that was in the state championship game the year before his freshman year there.
I
So,
can't think of his name, but yeah.
and it's going to kill me because I followed him all 2 years. All right, man. So here's the question:
Yes, sir.
over the next 5 years, uh, how can we increase exposure in Louisiana?
I really think the community just needs to come together, and everybody really get on the same sheet of music. You know, I think
Hmm.
I think I think program directors sometimes they they kind of fight over the talent, and
Hmm.
I think there needs to be an established level of where kids should be competing. Everyone does not have the upside to go play in the EYBL. So if
Hmm.
we can come together and pick our EYBL talent and keep those
Hmm.
kids in the state, because right now the number 1 and number 2 players for the class of 2027, they play for a team out of Texas. The number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4 players in the class of 2028 are going to be playing for Pro Skills or SIP United. They're going to be playing out of state. So I think
Yeah.
within the state, for Louisiana to be recognized as a basketball haven or a place to go search for kids, our kids need to show up wearing Louis, you know what I'm saying, wearing the Louisiana
Yeah.
boot and playing
Yeah.
together so people can understand how the kids play together. But right now our players are going out of state, and honestly our players are being treated really well by the programs that they go to out of state. JL3 has done an amazing job with Tyrone Jameson, Ahmad Hudson. We've got a couple more kids from the class of 2028 that are going there. Done a great job putting the spotlight on those kids and giving them the opportunity to show what they can do.
Yeah.
But it would be better if we had that here in the state, you know. And then look, if John Lucas was ever listening, or somebody from that program, if they were open to it, you know, maybe partner with Live On and try to keep the kids
Yeah.
from Louisiana here in Louisiana.
Well, man, I appreciate you being here, man. I really do, Donald.
Yes, sir.
And I appreciate you being here, embedded in the culture, talking about the culture that matters. Follow Donald Tatum's work with Prep Hoops, and follow him on Twitter as well at CPT underscore TATUM. And if
Yeah.
you value basketball conversations, subscribe to the platform. It helps us grow. Like, comment, and share. And Donald, I'd love to have you on again later on, maybe after the playoffs. And
Hey, just hit
just
me
chop
up,
it up.
man. Just hit me up. Look, I take this same road back to the crib every day. I got an hour and a half from 4 to 5:30 every day. So just hit me up.
All right, man. We'll do. Talk to you later, brother.